Hello, 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 people. Run the Play Nation. We are starting a new series on this channel where we go live Monday through Friday. And we're going to be talking about some baseball today. To my right, is this my right on the stream
Yes.
or left? My
Right.
left, I got my boy Joseph Silva, who you guys are familiar with, our baseball guy here. And we got a new face in town. Say hello to Josh Ortega. Josh, how you doing? Joseph, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
You know, I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm feeling better than yesterday for sure. Josh, if you can, tell us a little bit about your background in baseball experience, all that.
Sure. Um, been a Dodger fan my entire life, literally from the womb. Gone to I think the only year I've missed a game in one like gone to a game in a season was 2020. Um,
There.
played baseball growing up, travel teams, pony baseball. Played in high school mainly as a pitcher, an outfielder, and a second baseman mostly, but I played everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, and just always follow baseball, always talking baseball. Where I work, you can find me probably with all the other baseball, especially Dodger fans, just arguing mostly about Dave Roberts and why he needs to be respected, but otherwise just talking baseball all the time and just watching games every day and just loving baseball. Love it.
I mean, I know that's not the theme of this video, but Joseph, do you agree with the Dave Roberts?
I think after 2024, I think he more than deserves his flowers because I think very few managers could have won Game 5 besides Roberts because I think most managers would have punted after they pulled Flaherty. But to use your high leverage bullpen arms like that, to trust Blake Trinan to get that last couple outs in the eighth, and more importantly, he saved Daniel Hudson's arm. So he has eternal respect on that fact alone. But he really won us that World Series in 2025, if I'm being perfectly honest.
So Dave Roberts respecter. Okay, two respecters. I'm gonna be honest. I thought we were about to get some heat going early. That's why I brought that up. But
If it
yo,
was before 2024, I would have said fire Dave Roberts.
Never.
Josh's team stick it out.
Never.
Rival
No, I loved Dave Roberts from the moment he got hired.
from the womb, huh?
Exactly.
No, today we're going to be going through and talking about Joseph and Josh's top 5 teams to win the World Series, breaking that down, predicting the future. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in that, make sure you stick around. If you're watching this later, hello, drop a comment for us. Join the Discord server. That's going to be in the link in the description. Today is the final day of our trivia tournament on Discord. Tomorrow is a new day, so that means a new tournament. We're doing trivia every day. Winner gets a $25 gift card. So if that interests you, obviously join the Discord. Yeah, let's kick this off. With you guys got honorable mentions. You guys want to just dive into number 5? How are we feeling?
I could throw an honorable mention in early because this is a little controversial. I know they're 4th in World Series odds, but my honorable mention is going to be the Phillies.
Really? Not a Philly believer. Why?
Get me wrong, they have the best rotation in baseball, and that's with the fact that Aaron Nola is having the worst year of his career, bar none. Is Mick Abel has stepped up in a huge way. Zach Wheeler is pitching like he wants that Cy Young finally. Christopher Sanchez is great. Jesus Luzardo, yeah, he will blow up about every other start, but when he's on, he is on. The bullpen, however, needs a lot of help. They don't have high leverage arms that can come in after that rotation. And more importantly, I don't think their offense is as good as you may think it is. It's really Harper who's injured, Turner, Schwarber, and guys after that. Is they need outfield help in the worst possible way. I do not like Alec Bohm. The experiment is over. Second base is still a massive hole. And JT Realmuto has not been good since 2022, if we're being perfectly honest here. Is if they make moves because Dave Dombrowski is famous for going for it, I could see them getting back in the top 5. But I think they're going to disappoint rather quickly as the team is constructed.
Dude, it sucks because Alec Bohm was so cool. Like, Alec Bohm had the aura for so long. but the fall off needs to be studied. Josh, do you have an honorable mention, or if you want, you can
Yeah.
kick us off with number 5. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna do a little more than just one honorable. I'm gonna do an honorable mention and a sleeper pick.
Okay.
So my honorable mention is gonna be the Mets. Mainly because they in when you're looking at important statistics like OPS, batting average, team batting average, team ERA, bullpen ERA, they're kind of middle of the pack right now. I know Senga is injured and he's been one of their better pitchers, and they're definitely going to be on the market for a high leverage starting pitcher. Um, their bullpen ERA is not even in the top 10, and so that speaks a lot. And if you know anything about baseball, the one thing that wins World Series is your bullpen. You can hit all day, but if you got no bullpen, you cannot win. As Joseph was talking about with Dave Roberts in that game 5 with managing that bullpen, that's what won them that game is management of the bullpen, and it's because their bullpen had one experience and two had the stuff, the grit to win that game. Yes, Dave Roberts pulled the strings, but those guys still got to perform. And right now, the Mets bullpen is not performing, and as well, and their starting pitching is also, well, their starting pitching is doing all right, but they're in the top 5 in team ERA, but their bullpen is suspect for me, and that's why I'm not really high on the Mets too much. They do have a good OPS, but their team average is not great. So I'm really looking at them as an honorable mention. That doesn't mean that I don't think they can't win the World Series. They totally can, because as we know in baseball, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And if teams get hot at the right time, they can go on and win a World Series. Like the 2011 Cardinals had no business being in the playoffs at all. I'm not sure if you guys are a listener or any listeners or watchers are old enough to remember that team like I am. But they had no business being in that World Series, and they had no business being in that playoffs, and they won it all against a team in the Rangers that probably should have beat them pretty easily if you're talking about who they're playing as opposed to when they're playing them. So I think the Mets have a chance, and that's why I'm putting them in as an honorable mention, because they can get hot. Their offense can get hot just like they did last year, but they got to do that. And so I want to give a little bit of a sleeper team. And that doesn't necessarily mean I think they are going to win it. I just think, again, if they get hot at the right time, watch out. And it pains me to say this, but it's the Giants.
You know what? Before you get started, because I was going to say my sleeper team's my number 5, and it's the Giants.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. The reason why, team ERA, overall ERA is number 2 at 3.38. So, I mean, they got a great pitching staff anchored by Logan Webb, who I think is number 3 or 4 odds to win the National League Cy Young. So they got a good pitching staff. Specifically, even they have a good overall team there again, but it's really anchored by their pitching, and pitching wins World Series. So again, sleeper team for me, Giants.
Hey, do you guys? I don't know if you guys know this, but do you guys know where the Giants are ranked right now in betting odds to win the World Series?
Not top of my head.
They might have dropped since last time you saw it, Joseph.
Where are they now?
They're 13th. They're plus 4,000. So if you're a betting man, and you think they have a sleeper's chance, right? Like that, it doesn't hurt to put $20 on that to win $200. You know. And if you're a game by game watcher, then you need to check out Boom Fantasy. Check out Boom Fantasy. Use code RTP for a risk-free bet up to $100. We just had our boy Julian actually hit on a pretty big baseball bet with our risk-free bet in the Discord. So if you want to talk betting advice, join the Discord, obviously. But more importantly, use code RTP on Boom Fantasy. W plug. Just saying. I deserve some flowers for that. You know, a little lob in there.
Good plug, but yeah, for me, As much as it pains me to say it about the Giants, one, if you watch the top 50 player series and the awards predictions, I called that Logan Webb was coming back in a big, big way. So I want my flowers on that one. But for me, they have what I call the World Series formula. Is Josh? I know you say bullpens win World Series. They actually don't. That's the big misconception I think in modern baseball, is because everybody loves to give 2015 Kansas City their flowers, and rightfully so. But everyone forgets, and yes, I know Johnny Cueto threw a complete game in the World Series, but they still got 6 innings out of their starters in the wins. And that is the formula you need to go on. Is you need to get 6 from your starters, and Webb, Ray, and Rupp can give you 6. I know he's not pitched well since he has joined the rotation full time, but I'm still a believer in Hayden Birdsong. Even if he isn't as good as I think he can be, he is still a fantastic number 4 for your playoff roster. And if they get you 6, Walker, Doval, Rodriguez, and Rogers, any combination of those 3 at the end of the game, good night, man. That is a deadly trio, or quartet, quite frankly, in the back end of that bullpen. They just need Willy Adames to step up offensively, and this lineup is a lot longer and a lot more dangerous. Even if Jung-Hoo Lee gets back to that April-May Jung-Hoo Lee, that lineup's a lot longer. It's a lot more dangerous. Is they're the team that I'm not going to say they're 22 Philadelphia because the Phillies hit way, way more home runs than the Giants team did. But I kind of see them like 2022 Philadelphia almost, where everyone's going to discount them. They're that sneaky 6 seed, and they just start sniping everybody left and right.
Josh, go ahead and rebuttal if you want.
I do think that with the Giants that Willy Adames is the anchor of that offense, and if he gets going, yeah, they're going to be dangerous, especially late in the season. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think he's the anchor. I think that's why I have him as a sleeper, because they're not playing at their full potential yet. They have a dangerous bullpen. The only reason why I say bullpens win games is, and I'm going to hit you back on that, is because even though starting pitchers are key, one last year obviously showed that wasn't the key, because Dodgers had no starting pitching whatsoever, and they won in 5 games, should have won in 4. Should have swept the Yankees. And 2, that's not the way pitchers pitch anymore. They don't pitch. They don't go 6-7 innings anymore. If they do, it's a miracle. And on top of that, it's just not how they pitch anymore. It's not how managers and teams manage starting pitch anymore. That doesn't mean that they can't or they won't in the playoffs. If they're going to pitch like that, they're going to let them go. But it's just not the way teams handle pitchers anymore. And it's at least going that direction. They don't expect them to go more than 6 innings if they go 6 innings, because they're so heavily reliant on bullpen pitching now. Because of the way pitchers pitch, we were talking about this before we went on, is how pitchers are just throwing so hard now, and how that is affecting pitchers' arms. And so because of the way they throw, it is limiting how many innings they throw. Pitch average per 9 innings is way up. Guys are throwing a lot more pitches, not getting guys out in as little amount of pitches as they used to. And so because of that, I just have to throw my rebuttal back in there. But that's why I still think bullpens are the most important factor in building a World Series team.
I mean, if we see, because my thing is everything's true until it isn't. If it happens more and more going down the line, then yeah, I can see it. But even like as recently as 21, 22, like the Braves were famous for the night shift during that postseason run. Mm-hmm. But, they still got 6 innings out of Fried and Ian Anderson went 5. But they still got, at least 5 out of all their starters before handing it over to Matzik and the crew. So if we start seeing like the Dodgers formula repeat, then I'm totally with you on this. I just need to see it a little more often.
No, I get you there. I get you.
All right, let's jump into Josh's number 5 now.
I'm actually going to put the Phillies at number 5. And really, because they're top 10 in OPS and average and number one ERA. Now, again, their bullpen is suspect, and like I mentioned, bullpens typically are one of the major key factors, especially pitching in general, but bullpens. And so that's why I don't have them any higher than that. Whereas if they had a better bullpen, they'd be much higher on my list. Because you can, like I said, you can throw starters out there all you want, but they're going to have their limits because of the way pitching is going right now and the way pitchers pitch and how teams manage pitching. So I think they have a chance. But yeah, unless they get a couple high leverage arms in the market, which is I'm not fully aware of who's going to be available just yet on the market, but Joseph, you might have a little bit more information on that. But who's going to be mostly available that's that much of a high leverage arm, and they're going to have to get multiple high leverage arms. It's not like, maybe they just get one guy, but they don't have a closer right now. They have nobody. And if you can't close out a game, you can't win a game. And so if you got no closer and no one to set up that closer, you can't convince me that they're going to be any higher than that. And I'm sure that's part of the reasons why you had them on your honorable mention. And not in the actual top 5, but I can't ignore their offense. So,
yeah, a lot of the relievers I see, because I just pulled up Jeff Passan's top 50 trade deadline pieces, like Johan Duran, I don't think is going to get traded. Emmanuel Clase, definitely not going to get traded.
Yeah, they'd be stupid to trade him. They really would.
Yeah. The two big names being thrown around are Chapman, Fairbanks, and Bautista, maybe. But they are, aside from Chapman, the other two are going to be really, really expensive. And the Phillies do not have the farm depth to pay expensive prices for relievers, because this is the thinnest market I have seen for relieving, especially like high leverage relievers, in a long, long time. And more importantly, I don't trust Dave Dombrowski to find reclamation projects in the bullpen. I can't name you a single reliever who was like bad before they got to a Dave Dombrowski team that ended up being good.
No.
Like maybe you can say Joe Kelly, but he was a failed starting pitcher, and he only really pitched well in the playoffs in 2018 for Boston, if we're being honest here.
Yeah, and Dombrowski has never been a GM that develops. He's always been, everywhere he's gone, he's been a GM who builds up quality teams through the free agent market and through trades, which is why they don't have a great farm system. He doesn't have a team that develops well, and so they just go out and they buy or they trade all of their pitching and a lot of their players. And so that's been one of their biggest things lately, is they're not developing relievers, or they're not getting, as you call it, reclamation projects, where they are taking guys and reforming them in order to get their best potential out of them. So that's why I'm not really completely sold on their pitching staff, because they're not going to be able to afford it. I'm not sure how many people want to go to the Phillies, regardless. If you have other teams out there who are more on the bigger stage than the Phillies are, or maybe have a more of a potential than the Phillies do at this point, as far as their pitching staff goes and their bullpen.
Yeah, because I'm looking at their top 100 prospects right now, see like who they could trade to get Felix Bautista or one of those arms. Andrew Painter is not going anywhere. Aiden Miller arguably is not going to go anywhere, because once Trey Turner's defense, which is already isn't the best at short, starts to slip, I think that's when Miller is going to be ready to come up. Crawford's not going anywhere because they need outfield help in the worst way. So at that point, you're left with Eduardo Tate and Mick Abel, who's a part of the rotation, left in the top 100. Yeah, and after that, it just drops off a cliff. I don't know who they're going to get rid of here to fix that bullpen. And it's scary. It really is. And they still have to get at least one more outfielder on top of that, too.
Phillies fans, be worried. Fluke season. Joe, go ahead and let us know who your number 4 team is now.
My number 4 team, oh man, I hate to say it, I have the Dodgers.
No way. Josh, you're not in your head. Is that where you got them to?
No way.
Because
Number
I love this
4.
team, but this team scares me a lot. A lot. Because, yes, everyone is mesmerized by the high-end talent of, like, Otani's playing very well. That is known. Freeman, yes, he's been very, very hard to watch, if I'm being honest here, the whole month of June. He's still playing well. Betts, not playing well. He's getting really close to a sub 100 OPS plus, and that is terrifying. Pajes has been a beast. Tail is good. He should not be number 2 in All-Star voting. I want to make that very clear. And I understand Will Smith has been really good, best catcher in the NL the first half, but I've seen this team enough to know how bad second half Will Smith is. And I understand rushing has been giving him a lot more playing time, a lot more rest and all that. I'm still worried, though, because I've seen this movie before with Will Smith. But the rotation is awful behind Yamamoto. I understand Kershaw's been good since he's come back. I don't trust playoff Kershaw anymore, quite frankly. The bullpen dogs have been taken out back, unfortunately. Isbanda has not been good this year. Tanner Scott, fantastic, don't get me wrong, but we don't know how good Kopech is. I've not seen enough of him to make that judgment. Trinan is not back yet. It's just, I see too many red flags with this team, and I don't know if they can overcome it. Sorry.
Hey, every time I see Tanner Scott on the screen, man, I just can't look at him and think like he's not Arab. You know, as an Arab myself, I know there's like no Arabic baseball players, but every time he's on the screen, I'm like, you just can't tell me this guy's not Arabic.
You can't be Arabic and from Ohio, though.
You can't be Arabic and your name be Tanner Scott. Like that's what it is, you know. But Josh, I saw you had some agreements towards that. Do you want to rebuttal that, or you want to just go into your number 4?
I'll do both, actually. I'll say this. I'll agree that their bullpen is in shambles. I don't know if you guys saw, they just recently, yesterday, designated Luis Garcia for assignment. I was happy about that because he was not good at all. Headlines were, oh, shocking, they did. I was like, no, that's not shocking. Yeah, I really do think it depends on their injury list and how many guys are going to be coming back in their pitching rotation. But let's be honest here. Yeah, they have Mookie Betts that is not playing great. Freddie Freeman's had a god-awful June. I get the Will Smith narrative, but it is his best. He's had his best year with runners in scoring position. And if he's going to continue hitting in the spot that he is, as long as Mookie Betts and Otani and all the guys hitting before him are getting on base, which they still technically are to some degree, he's going to be driving them in. And, and that's what he's been doing consistently all year. And he's been the best offensive catcher in Major League Baseball all year long. It's not even been a question.
Cal Raleigh exists.
Yeah, he's hitting home runs. That's about it. So that's great. That's cool, and he's a great story, and I'm not going to diminish him at all. And honestly, if they had a better offense around Cal Raleigh, I'd actually have them in my top 5. But because they have no hitting beyond that, I can't even give them a look. They probably would have been below the Giants, my next sleeper team, if they would get more offense. But their GM is not known for going out and getting that and dealing like that at the deadline. So anyway, I can talk about Dodgers. I'm going to say the Yankees are my number 14.
Wow.
And the reason why, they got a great OPS and average, and they're in the top 12 in average or 11 in average, and they're around the middle of the pack in their team ERA and the bullpen ERA. Starting ERA is about the middle of the pack. And this is with and I think Aaron Judge is still carrying that team. He's always going to carry that team. He's the captain. But besides hitting home runs in his average, right? No one else is really producing like they probably should. Again, they're another team that I think that could get hot at any time. and start demolishing everybody. And so, uh, again, I just, based off of what they did last year, they could do it again. Uh, I think they have a chance. They have the ability to go get the arms that they may need. They're doing what they're doing. Starting ERA is number 7 without Garrett Cole even in the rotation. And Garrett Cole is that once in a lifetime ace, and he's not even there. And the fact that he's not there, and the fact that they're pitching as well as they are, their bullpen ERA I think is even like 5 or 6 in the league. And so the fact that they're around there, that's why I have them around middle of the pack in my top 5. It's because they're middle of the pack and they're not even hot right now. They're not even playing, to me, up to their full potential. So that's why I have them at number 4.
You guys got the 2, I believe. Yeah, the number 1 and number 2 team both at number 4. Like, it's competitive at the top.
Yeah, it's been a wild and wide open year for baseball. But I'm gonna save like my full Yankees thoughts for when I get to them in the odds. But for me, the Yankees are just so damn good, man. Torpedo bats or no, is Paul Goldschmidt has been a revelation since coming to the Bronx here. Is they have a couple holes they need to plug, but I don't see as many glaring weaknesses in the Bronx as I do with the teams behind them. And I think the big key for them is sustainability. Is I don't think Trent Grisham can continue to hit like this. I don't think, Jason Dominguez, as good as he is, I don't think he can continue to hit the way he's been hitting. And if they can platoon right and get everything squared away matchup-wise for the playoffs, I think they would be so, so good. The rotation is excellent. The bullpen is excellent. And that's with the fact that Devin Williams is having by far the worst year of his career. Is again, I'll save my full thoughts for them, but I think they're just a tick lower than they should be.
Yeah, I mean, Josh was right that they are the 6th in bullpen ERA. But I'm kind of curious, Josh, if what you're saying is like the bullpen is the key, I guess, to winning the World Series, and they're up there. Obviously, there's no contender really in this range that they're at. Why do you have them at number 4?
Mainly because I just don't see the dog in them yet. Okay. I don't see the fight in them yet. I don't trust their manager to make the right moves. I don't think they're on a organizational level. And as we've seen with other teams, that to be the best, you got to be the best up and down. And I just don't see it. I don't see it yet. They got overmatched by far with the depleted Dodgers team last year, a depleted pitching staff last year in the playoffs. They also played a weak run last year, in my opinion, in the playoffs last year. The American League is not, in my opinion, this year particularly strong. As far as overall teams go, I mean, there might be a few American League teams that are at the top in some different areas. But for me, it's the American League in general is not as strong as the National League in general. And so it's kind of a smokescreen to me. Beyond the Tigers and maybe a few other teams. So I just don't see them as a team as a whole ready to, and they can prove me wrong. I'm just saying, like I said earlier, they may get hot. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. And so they could get hot at the right time and go on a run. But I just haven't seen it organizationally yet, especially with Aaron Boone. I do not like him as a manager.
What are you talking about? If Aaron Boone makes good decisions, we don't get this moment right here.
Hey, it's a good decision for us, but not a good decision for them.
And you had that on deck too. You were ready with that one. That's crazy. All right, let's get into our number 3 teams now on our top 5 list.
Okay.
Go
My
ahead.
number 3, I'm going to get the most shit for. I know this. But I think right now, if I was going to pick a team to come out of the NL, it would be the Cubs.
Really?
I'm going to get into the big elephant in the room here. Their rotation is thin. It is depleted.
Yep.
It is empty, like my cupboard after a night out of drinking, quite frankly. It's Matthew Boyd, and I know Shota Imanaga is back, but it's just Matthew Boyd and vibes, quite frankly. But they do have the prospect capital to go get some pitchers here. I've been on record saying that Alcantara, I think it's his pitch grips. I think once they see he's not holding the ball the way he was in his Cy Young season, I think that's what's going to unlock him. And I sure as hell do not trust the Marlins to figure that out. I am betting my life that Alcantara is going to be a Cub. And when he does, the rotation, again, it's still not great. I got Baseball Reference pulled up here, is Tyone 86 ERA plus, Ben Brown 62 ERA plus, Colin Ray 87 ERA plus, Cade Horton 79 ERA plus. But you can ride the other two plus Alcantara or whoever you get at the deadline, quite frankly, to a championship, because their bullpen is the second best in baseball with a lot of names you can just throw out there. Chris Flexen has been incredible this year. Daniel Palencia has been great. Keller has been great. Theobar has been great. You can throw any combination of those two for when you're leading and you're in charge. More importantly, that's without the fact that Ryan Presley kind of been a little shit this year. Porter Hodge, who was the big name everyone was talking about in this Cubs bullpen, pitching like shit this year. If those two figure it out, my God, the Cubs are going to run through the National League with that bullpen. And the main reason I'm so high on Chicago, their offense is so fucking good, man. Is just looking at their everyday starters, the only one who has a negative OPS plus is Matt Shaw, and he still has that top prospect potential. He can figure it out at any time. Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya are basically the same catcher offensively, so you can throw any one of those two out there and be fine. Pete Crow Armstrong, a revelation. Kyle Tucker, a revelation. Seiya Suzuki, phenomenal. Dodgers legend Michael Busch, I'm sorry we let you get away. You are fantastic on this team. Everybody has been contributing offensively, and they just need one guy at the top of this rotation, and they are set for a deep, deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean they have the 6th highest odds right now to win the World Series, which is it's pretty interesting, bro. And it's not bad odds either. If you think they have a realistic shot, like plus 1,300, that's like obviously a good bet to make. Josh, are you with him on the Cubs train?
100%. 100%. Yeah, they're my number 3 team. Again, bullpen ERA, fantastic bullpen. In the top 5 in their offense, top 5 offense in major leagues. I agree that their bullpen, their starting pitching needs a lot of help. I'm with you on Michael Busch. I was not happy when we got rid of him, but I think we're okay without him, to be honest. But would it be great to have him? Sure. But I love Tommy Edmonds. So we have yet to see how Michael Busch does in the playoffs like Tommy Edmonds can do in the playoffs. So I got to wait and see how – that's the thing. And that's why I don't have them higher than 3 is experience. How much experience do these guys really have? And experience, when you do as a former player, experience does play at least to some degree in how you perform in the playoffs, right? You've been there, done that. The Dodgers certainly have been there, done that. The Yankees and Phillies have certainly been there, done that. The Cubs, some of them have. Kyle Tucker is, I mean, that might be the best signing of the offseason, in my opinion. It might be the best addition they've had that any team has had to their team. In my opinion, he makes this team as good as they are. He makes everyone better around him. So, we'll see, wait and see if he stays with them. I think if they'd be fools, but Tom Ricketts has got to fork out the money. I don't know if he's going to do that. So this team might be a one and done, in my opinion, as far as them being a quality team and a top 5 World Series team in the next coming years. It just depends if their owners are finally willing to spend the money to do it. But I can't disagree with everything Joseph was saying. He's right on.
I feel like you guys have been in fair agreement other than the bullpen stuff this episode. I'm not gonna lie. Let's just go straight into our number 2s then. Who do you got, Joseph, at number 2?
At number 2, I have the New York Yankees.
Okay.
And the thing I like so much about the Yankees is I think they have what I call the World Series formula that I've been talking about basically nailed down. Fried has been phenomenal. Kyle Tucker exists, but he's been the best pitcher acquisition in the offseason. Clark Schmidt has been a lot better than I thought he would be. Carlos Rodon is pitching fantastic, but he has one glaring flaw I can see exploited in the postseason is he gives up a lot of home runs. And we all know the famous stat, like 73% of the time, if you out-homer your opponent, you win the game. But I think he will pitch fine in the postseason, especially because this Yankees lineup slugs with the best of them. I'm not going to talk about Aaron Judge. We know how good Aaron Judge is, even if all his home runs come on middle pitches when they're up 14-0. But Goldschmidt has been fantastic for them. Anthony Volpe, solid, but it's the defense that's really carrying him. The outfield is where they make their money. Dominguez. Again, I'm not that high on him, but he's had a great year for them. Trent Grisham, where has this come from, my guy? Cody Bellinger is hitting like my himbo, and I miss him dearly. Ben Rice, I was a big doubter on Ben Rice. He has been a great find, and he has been a great DH for them. Jazz Chisholm is coming back. He has been a great power speed threat. And once he starts playing second base and they get a real third baseman, this lineup is basically Thanos with the Infinity Stones. They are complete. And then bullpen-wise, Devin Williams needs to figure it out in a big way. They don't necessarily need him at the moment, but they would very much like him, especially with the fact that if you can go him to Leiter to Weaver, I don't know how you're going to get a hit off any of those guys. And more importantly, Aaron Boone has learned how to use Tim Hill in the bullpen. And surprisingly, Tim Hill is actually a really good pitcher. Maybe he should have used him in game 1. And that's what Josh is saying is, I don't trust Aaron Boone, but I didn't trust Dave Roberts until he proved he can do it. So everything is true until it isn't. And this might be Aaron Boone's 2024 Dave Roberts run, if we're being honest here.
Josh's reaction. Josh, what do you got to say about all that?
I think it's a crime against humanity to compare Aaron Boone and Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts has the highest winning percentage in the playoffs of any manager since 2016. His first few years, he was either in the NLCS or the World Series. And yeah, I just, like I said, you can make certain moves. We can take 2017 out of there, especially in the World Series. I think that obviously hurt Kershaw's playoff legacy more than it should have. But some of the moves he's made were the right moves. They just don't pan out, right? And like you said, if you make a move in it, you either are a genius or you're an idiot. You know, it works out good or it works out bad, right? Guys still got to perform. And he didn't always have the guys that would come out and perform. And so you have to take that into consideration. 2021, they were overworked because their bullpen was their starting pitching was overworked, their bullpen was overworked, and they had a longer season because of, let's face it, the Giants were the better team that year, but the Dodgers just had more grit. And they wanted it more, right? And then by the time they got to the NLCS with the Braves, they were just done. They were tired. They were They were cooked. So I mean, yeah. I just don't understand how you can even come close. I know Yankees fans who hate Aaron Boone and just say, look, he's not that good. His guys just are performing right now, and that's good for him. It looks good on him. But we'll see how that goes. Again, he proved me wrong, Aaron Boone, but there's no way you can even compare Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone. Dave Roberts deserved the respect all his entire tenure with the Dodgers. I'll say this when I would say this about Dave Roberts, and the fact that he can manage that kind of clubhouse with all those egos and all those guys and make them all buy into it's not about us, right? And it's about the team, and we take it one day at a time, and we don't listen to the outside noise, right? That's not easy to do. Managing a team and managing actual in game is one thing. Managing a clubhouse is an entirely different thing. And to have players want to come play for you because of how great the culture you set is, that speaks volumes to the kind of manager he is. That's not the aura around Aaron Boone right now, or at least I've never heard that to say. So I'm just going to stop my rant right there about the Dave Roberts stuff. Dave Roberts always deserved our respect, and he proved that this last year. All right. So I'll say this about the New York Yankees. There's splits. Their offensive splits. They are obviously, like you would expect, they are much better at home than they are on the road as far as their batting splits go. Now, their record is around the same. You can't probably make that too much of a factor in all this, but they obviously have a much better offensive team at home. And so you get away from Yankee Stadium, get away from that small porch in right field, especially for some of their left-handed hitters, and you wonder how they're going to do in the tough situations and high leverage situations. And so that's why I didn't have them up as high as well. Higher than 4 is because their splits have a big enough difference at home to make me wonder, are they going to be able to perform on the road, which is what they didn't do last year. And so that's got to be a factor for me.
Bears. Who's your number 2 then, Josh?
It's got to be the Dodgers. Again, I've said it earlier, experience comes into play here. They've been there, they've done that. I don't have them at number 1. I don't think they're going to win the World Series. Repeating is hard as heck in today's day and age in sports. And when you have a team like the Cubs, who I think, even though I had them at 3, I think they could easily be a 2. They could easily be 2 on my list. And so it's just their starting pitching. If they can get a starting pitching, then they're a series contender. I do think it's going to be a Dodgers-Cubs NLCS. And I mean, anything can happen, right? But I do think because of their offense is ridiculous, even with guys like Mookie and Freddie Freeman not playing up to their normal ability, and even Ohtani's kind of having a little bit of a down last couple weeks himself. He's striking out a lot more than usual. They're still number 1 in OPS and average, even with all that. Andy Pages is the guy that I'm watching, and I'm thinking, dude deserves to be in the All-Star game, if not start. What he's been doing the last month and a half to 2 months is ridiculous. He's come through and just topped his rookie season already. I mean, he's already topped most of his stats in his rookie season. So he's a revelation for the Dodgers if he keeps it going. And again, if he keeps it going. If he doesn't, I'd put Dodgers at 3, Cubs at 2, right? Okay. But if he keeps it going, and we all know that Mookie, Freddie, and Ohtani, they're going to figure it out. Usually in the past, I would have said Will Smith was my kind of like my anchor for the Dodgers. I've said this for years, that if Will Smith does good in the playoffs, if he does good in the regular season, he's like the factor, right? Everyone else is going to do what they're going to do, right? Mookie's going to do what he's going to do. Ohtani this year is going to do what he's going to do. Freddie Freeman's going to do what he's going to do. Will Smith, he's got to come through. He's got to come through in the second half. Yes, he does. But he's come through this season so far. I don't have any reason to believe he won't continue unless he re-aggravates his injury from last year, which kept him down in the second half. He was injured. He's playing injured in the playoffs. And it's one of those injuries that it's just not going to go away. It's going to take a long time for it to go away. So, yeah, I mean, him and Pages are my two X factors for this team. And if they continue to perform like they are, that's why I have them at 2. Because those are guys that, even though Will Smith is considered the best catcher all around in MLB, you got Pages, and those are the two guys, middle, bottom of the order, that if they produce, this team is, in my opinion, offensively is unstoppable in the playoffs. Their starting ERA is actually not bad. But again, their bullpen is the biggest issue. It all is going to depend on injuries for me. If their injured bullpen pitchers come back, I have no reason to believe they can't perform like they did last year, especially since, I mean, let's be honest, they may not be in the groove. And in baseball, it's all about, being in the groove. That's why Blake Snell had such a horrible year last year. So I'm not really counting on him this year to come back and be like he should be and his up to his caliber. But yeah, I do think if their pitchers come back, they're going to be rested. They're going to be ready to go. They have that experience. I think that they can be even more dangerous than they already are. And so that's why I have them at 2.
Yeah, because the potential is there with this team. It always will be. But for me, again, everything's true until it isn't. But I need to see more you can just bullpen your way to a World Series. And I love Ben Kasparius. I love Justin Robleski. I don't want them eating bulk innings in playoff settings.
No way. No.
And if, Tony Gonsolin or Sasaki or Glasnow were all pitching well before their injuries, I'd be a lot higher on this team. But every single one of them have a below average ERA plus. So at that point, it's really Yamamoto and Ohtani if they decide to take the governor off for the playoffs. I don't think they will.
No.
Quite frankly, I think they are not telling us there's an innings cap. I know right now he's only going 1 or 2 innings because this is essentially the live BP part of his rehab.
Yeah.
He just rather do it in game because he's a freak and he's weird like that, and I love him. But they just don't have the pitching. They don't have the rotation. They don't have the bullpen, quite frankly, that they did. The bullpen dogs will always have a special place in my heart. These are not my bullpen dogs that I remember and love so much.
You got bullpen puppies now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let me say this about their bullpen, though, and about their pitching staff in general. They're being injured. A lot of pitchers playing on the 60 or putting on the 60-day injured list. I was going to say DL because I'm old school, but on the injured list. And honestly, that's only because they are protecting them, right? They are playing the slow game because they understand that they'd rather have their high leverage arms available in the later part of the season and rather have their ramp up in late August and September, as opposed to bringing them back a little too early just because they want to win a few more games now, when right now their bullpen is doing okay, right? They're serviceable. Let's put it that way. But the reason why their bullpen is only serviceable is because their offense is picking them up. And so the Dodgers are playing the long game here. And when they get to that point where these guys are going to start coming back, and it's going to be later in the season, their bullpen is drastically going to change. And so it's not going to be the same bullpen as it is even now. And so I think you got to at least give them that amount of credit and allow them to bring those guys back and see how they do. Now, if they come back and they're awful, then yeah, they're not going to win the World Series. Again, I don't have them winning the World Series. I think I'm not even sure if they're going to go to the World Series this year. I think it very well could be the Cubs in the World Series representing the National League this year. But again, I'm waiting to see what they do with their pitching staff because they are playing the long game.
Fairs. Now, at number one, I might have predicted this. I'm not going to lie. I might have predicted this because I designed the thumbnail for this before we started recording. And I'm glad to hear that both you guys are more than likely in agreement about your number one team. So if you guys want, go ahead, kick it off. And let's talk about hopefully the Tigers.
Wait, we're not talking about why the Colorado Rockies are going to win the World Series this year? No, I do have Detroit number one. And for me, it is by a country mile. Is this Tigers team is basically a perfect team at this point. And I do not say that lightly. Before I talk about the big man in the rotation himself, let's talk about the two people that are going to be backing him up and eating a lot of good playoff innings here. Casey Mize and the recently returning Reese Olson. They are so damn good, man. Those two are phenomenal pitchers. And if they're your 1-2, you feel comfortable about that. But unfortunately, they're not your 1-2. They're pitching behind a god amongst the men, quite frankly. And I do not say this lightly. Tarek Skubal is pitching like a prime Clayton Kershaw because he's attacking the zone. He has immaculate command, and he's not walking anybody. His walks per nine is 1.2. I don't even think a pitching machine, if you put it up there, can get 1.2 walks per nine. He has been a revelation for this Tigers team. And aside from one bad pitch, he stepped up in his first postseason. He was damn near unhittable in that wild card series against Houston and that first start against Cleveland. He was otherworldly. The bullpen is a little bit suspect. Pitching chaos, they are not anymore, but they still have a lot of great arms in that bullpen. West, Herter, and Cadenley are phenomenal. And again, if you're starting pitching like that, that's all you really need. And then the offense. Where did this Gleyber Torres come from? Where did this Spencer Torkelson come from, man? They have lived up to their top billing. They're complimenting, Dodger legend Zach McKinstry very, very well. Riley Green has been phenomenal. And Javier Baez, of all people. Apparently, he's not a shortstop. He's a phenomenal center fielder. He's really good now. It's just everything about this team, except for maybe some bullpen arms and shortstop, is exactly what you want from a modern baseball team. They look, quite frankly, unstoppable at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you by any means. They are number one, and they are number one by far. It's not even close. I mean, what Skubal is doing right now is I agree. I mean, his curveball is even ridiculous right now. He's got that public enemy number one going right now. And so and he is by far their best pitcher. I mean, and like I said, he's running away right now with the AL Cy Young. And I think we talked about it before we went live, but he's even up there in MVP odds and stuff like that. And I can't even disagree with that beyond what he's doing. Win-loss is not an important stat anymore, but the fact that he has got such a divide in his win-loss, I mean, his innings pitched is more than 20 the next Tigers pitcher innings total, which is a lot. He's given up way fewer home runs than most. What his walks are, he's only got 14 walks in this entire season so far. That's so little, and he's got 138 strikeouts. I mean, what more could you want from a pitcher right now to anchor your rotation, to be the guy to lead your rotation? And so, I mean, as much as Jack Flaherty is not a great pitcher, again, he's very hot and cold. He's still pitching okay this year. He's serviceable, and so Casey Mize has been great. He's got a great ERA. So they got bullpen. Yeah, they could add a high leverage arm, But that is the only thing in my opinion. I agree. Some of these cast-offs that are on the team, where is this coming from? And and this might be one of those teams that they could be one of the the organizationally, as much as he was part of an Astros team that absolutely I despise with every ounce of my being. I mean, their manager is killing it. I mean, he was always good. He was always good. He just ignored it. He ignored something that was happening. Otherwise, he'd still be in Houston. He'd be a legendary manager in Houston and in MLB, but because he's in Detroit, he's helping rebuild that team. And so I there's not much else to say. This is the best team in baseball right now. They've been the best team in baseball all year, even though the Dodgers swept them to start the year. I mean, yay for me, but that's about it. So, I mean, that's their only blemish is being swept by the Dodgers early in the season. But I don't think that's going to happen again. So, yeah, easily number one.
So what you guys are telling me, right, is if I put $20 on the Tigers to beat where are they? Never mind, they're not on here. But I'm going to Vegas in a week. I want to bet on the Tigers and the Giants World Series, man. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. Come on, let's have a run this year, boys.
2012, we're redoing that World Series
a
again.
2012 redo, but I don't think it's going to end that way, though.
Huh?
It's not going to end in a sweep, though. I can tell you that.
Nah, Tigers got him. No, it's definitely a good year in baseball as far as like parity goes. Like there is legitimately 6 teams you probably could have said win the World Series, but we just lucked out that you guys both hit on the same team,
If Houston keeps this up, I can see them being a good contender. Like Josh was saying earlier, if the Mariners can find anybody with a pulse that can hit, I think they could be a contender. This is such a wide open year that anybody, when they get hot in October, can take this thing, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too. Thank you guys again for hopping on this with us. We're about to hit 1 hour. We're going to start doing these daily streams, more baseball talk. We're going to have some football again this week. So football's returning, basketball talk as well, obviously. So make sure you guys stick around, tune in all week for some banger videos. Hopefully they're a little quicker than this one. Not gonna lie, we're still trying to map that out. So we're gonna have that figured out for you guys. And again, make sure you guys join the Discord and shout out Boom Fantasy. Use code RTP. Joseph, Josh, anything you guys want to close with?
Dave Roberts lost us the 2017 World Series. That's all I'll say.
That is so wrong on so many levels.
All right, well, let's save that one for next time.